Should you have sex on the first date? Big question, important question. And so many of us ask this question of ourselves and do not know where to go. Do we open ourselves up? Do we open our bodies up? Or do we hold back when we really want to go forward? What does sex mean to you? What does it symbolize and signify to you? How do you relate to sex? The question really is not so much should I have sex on the first date, but more importantly, what does sex mean to me? How do I relate to sex? What is driving you to have sex on the first date? Is sex something that is purely physical for you, or does it mean something more? Does it take you to a different place? Do you allow yourself to involve every aspect of your being, your spiritual self, your connection to the unknown, your emotional body, your physical body, and your psychological body? Do you allow yourself to go into that place? For so many years, for me, sex was so physical because I thought I had an idea that sex was a gateway to a deeper emotional connection, a deeper spiritual connection to myself and to others. Now, the idea for me was in great alignment. The idea was quote unquote right. What was not in alignment was how I was pursuing that. I thought the act of sex itself, just the act with nothing else, would liberate me and free me into feeling connected, into being seen, into being known, into being understood, into being heard. Because that's all we want. We want deep connection as human beings. Yet how we pursue that connection, how we choose to embody it, and so many of us are unable to embody that, the fullness of an experience, but how we choose to pursue something is really what defines the quality of that experience. So this question of should I have sex on the first date? Do you wish to be more emotionally involved? Do you wish to be more superficial in the sex that you have? Now, superficial isn't bad. Having sex on the first date is not bad. Not knowing someone in layers is not bad. Remember, as every day passes, every moment passes, you get to know the person that you're with, that you're sharing intimacy with at a deeper level. From year 1 to year 2 to year 20. However, what type of sex do you want? Do you want junk sex? Do you want real sex? We've gone from a society of being very liberal with our sexuality to being massively repressed for hundreds and hundreds of years, to then being massively liberated again in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, 60s and 70s more so. Contraception changed the game. Media came in, changed the game. Now we're over-sexualized. We're sexually stimulated in a way that doesn't necessarily make sense. We start connecting to sexuality at a very young age, and sometimes without guidance, without direction. We're immature, and this is very true, not only for men, but also for women. Now, sending a dick pic at the age of 12, or your genitalia at the age of 11 or 13, that's the norm. That's the standard. We've taken out the depth, we've taken out the deep connection. We've taken out this connection of our sexual center to our heart center, to our psychic center, our mental being. We've taken this out, we've removed it. And now we get to focus on this act of sex, and we think that orgasm is the same as coming. But coming is something different. Orgasm is this physiological event that takes place through stimulus, right? Through stimulating our genitalia. But coming is something else. We come to a place, we arrive at a place. That's power. That's the power of the human spirit. Romance is bringing this wild heart to an erotic body. It's a merging of the two. It's a connecting of the two. Now, there's nothing wrong with sex on the first date. There's nothing wrong with primal sex. But if that's all you're having, you're missing something that you are yearning for, that your body, that your mind, that your heart, that your spirit is yearning for. And that's intimate connection. When you begin to explore your partner or your partners with a slowness, with an emotional layer, with an openness, with a vulnerability that's beyond just completion, that's beyond just act and complete, that's beyond just orgasm. Something happens in our being. We begin to know parts of ourselves that we've never seen before. That's an opportunity for growth. That's an opportunity for going deeper into who we are. Coming involves this constellation of sensation of all of our bodies. It's coming and arriving to a place of realization, of openness, of freedom. When I say all of our bodies, I'm talking about the emotional body, the ethereal body, the spiritual body, the psychic body, the physical body. There's this congruent merging that takes place. And as it does that, as we allow ourselves to experience that, we sexually liberate ourselves. We no longer become dictated. We're no longer influenced unconsciously by the external world. We're influenced by our internal drive to see others, to be seen, and to connect fully and openly. And in this place, in this space, we allow aspects of ourselves that have been repressed and hidden and avoided, we have hidden from for so long, to come forth. Now that's fucking scary. And so it's easier to play in the realm of pure physical sex. Again, nothing wrong with it. But if that's all you do, you're missing out on something very special. And that's tapping into the potential of the human being. The human being, not just doing. We're able to be with our sensations. Physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual. When I began to connect deeper to my own sexuality, the sacredness of sexuality for me, and I began to practice ritual and care around who I gave my sexual energy to, who I paid attention to. I came from a background of infidelity, unfaithfulness, prostitution, using my body and the body of others as a tool for immediate gratification. And that's all it was. And I pursued more of that. I needed more of that. It became a drug, almost an addiction. And what I was searching for was deep emotional connection, but not in a way that was truly aligned with my truth. And aligned with a path that could actually not so much get me there, but help me embody and experience that. And so I needed more. I thought, I can bring my emotional body here, but I was really shut down. I was pretending to. And so many of us pretend to bring the fullness of ourselves into a very vulnerable, very raw and open space where we're sharing ourselves, where we're not only physically naked, but we're naked spiritually and emotionally. We're naked in every way. And so should you have sex on the first date, or could you get to know that person at a deeper level? Build connections. Create history with this person before you share yourself sexually. Explore their mind, their hearts, their being, their preferences, their values, their likes, their dislikes, their pain, their fears. Get to know them holistically, wholly, deeply. And in the process, get to know yourself. What then happens to the act of sex? What happens then to this merging of orgasm and coming? What happens then when we come fully into ourselves and we allow the other to also come into self without judgment, without critique, without rigidity or harshness? What happens to sex then? What happens to making love, creating love, creating almost this consciousness, this unified consciousness that comes into the act and into the being of sexuality? And shame begins to diminish. Judgment floats away. Just consider next time you're having sex and being sex, and where you're giving your sexual energy and where you're receiving it from. What does it mean to you, and where is that coming from?